On today's episode of the Glue Guys, we are going to talk about two players on the Brooklyn Nets reviewing the Brooklyn Nets' first preseason game. We're going to talk about Camuel Thomas
and Darius Baisley and Edmund Sumner from last year.
Wow,
Did
you
I
just
ruin it?
broke my heart. How dare you bring up Eddie Sums? We're going to talk Ben Simmons. We're going to talk Ben Simmons. Welcome back to the Glue Guys. This is Mike here. Say hello, Brian.
Hello.
Check us out on X at BK Glue Guys, netsdaily.com. Not sure again, though tomorrow I will be inside the offices of the New York Times for a company gathering.
No, you're going
and I'm reporting live from Times Square, Brian.
Mike, you're going to be putting your feet up on the boardroom table and negotiating aggressively.
Have you ever seen The Big Short?
I have.
I'm going to bring that Christian Bale energy, wearing the flip-flops.
Oh.
Having a lazy eye.
Non-confrontational.
Yeah. And just saying I'm right and not explaining
listening to 2006 era Mastodon at crazy high volumes.
Isn't that a great negotiating strategy? I mean, it's
Worked for him.
Kind of flawless.
Worked for him. Mike, you watched the game last night, didn't you?
Oh my God, Brian. Oh my. Can we just say this is the most under-discussed story today in sports, Brian?
The Ben Simmons' 14 minutes. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see I did an AI art inspired by Ben Simmons' performance. It's zombie Ben Simmons. It's also it's for the holidays.
Is that Midjourney?
We used Midjourney. Yep, version 5.
What did you put into the Journ to get that? That's really good, actually.
I had a couple of good options. I had some really it's getting gruesome these days. The Midjourney options, they're easing up on the brand safety stuff. So I did Ben Simmons as a zombie, Ben Simmons rising from the dead, things like that. Occasionally you'd get him there was one where he was laying on a table and anyway, it was like a surgical scene and it wasn't great. That was where we butt up against the brand safety issues that I was just talking about.
What I want to ask you is, you did the live stream, you did the dirty stream. How do you get to it? How do people get to the dirty stream?
You go to
Brian?
the discord.gg/glueguys, or you can just go to twitch.tv/thebrianegan, and we watch games. We just watch games on Twitch. It's
great energy.
It's pretty
fun.
In. Mike was in there.
What did you? I mean, you were there with the people. You're in the coal mines, digging up the coal. What was your Ben Simmons impression?
Ben Simmons' impression was, he's back.
Revelatory.
It's on.
The league has been put on notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All that.
The notice has been put. They've all been served their subpoenas. The Congressional Committee of the Brooklyn Nets subcommittee, Ben Simmons,
making the rounds.
is
knocking on doors,
has subpoena power,
and
they are subpoenaing the rest of the league. Subpoenaing.
That's it. You got it.
Yeah. I do work for the New York Times, technically. Just want to say
he looked good. I'm not gonna lie, Mike. He looked good, and it's. I'm trying to not overdo it, because that's we're memeing a little bit, but
what's our job here?
We're in a penthouse in Times Square, Mike. What are we doing here? Sorry for the people. He was motioning to the room. Yeah. I guess now is the time to enjoy the Ben Simmons 14 minutes performance. He looked good. I'm not gonna hold back. He looked good. He was making crisp, tasty passes. He was not super tempted to shoot a lot of open elbow jumpers. That's fine. We never wanted him to do that in the first place, even though
he took one beautiful fadeaway jumper.
That's true.
From about 14 feet. That would have been about the longest shot he took last year. That wasn't like an end of shot clock shot. Now,
Fair.
Did it go in?
No,
it clanked off the other side of the rim and backboard.
But that's the confidence side. That's the confidence side of the rim. You want to shoot it long, Mike.
Do you know what my favorite play was last night? Of Ben Simmons?
Tell me.
It was not a successful play, but it was a play I remember we were watching on the dirty stream. I was watching you. You were watching the game.
Okay.
And there was a play where Ben Simmons tried to do behind the back pass.
That was a hilarious play. Yes, loved it. Loved that play.
Yeah. What did that show you? That's like someone wearing, like a bad outfit, but it's outlandish enough that it sort of works. Because Ben Simmons of old, meaning Ben Simmons of last year, wouldn't have deigned to try that pass. He wouldn't have had the internal confidence to even try something as fun as a backwards pass. But yet against LeBron James in Las Vegas, Benjamin Simmons, by the way, again, Simmons used to be a member of Clutch Sports, and he said bye-bye to Clutch and went with Bernie Lee.
Bye-bye.
Uncle Bernie is his new agent. And
feel the burn?
I'm feeling the burn.
Yeah.
I'm feeling the burn. After reading some polls recently, Trump v. Haley or Trump.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What a word.
You're going to vote for Bernie Sanders, huh?
Yeah, that's really going to help me.
Yeah.
And you're going to vote for RFK Jr., third-party candidate.
He's a Kennedy.
Like his
he's a Kennedy.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Listen, as you said, we're not trying to get outlandish here. We're not trying to get ridiculous. This is just one preseason game. You said 14 minutes. He scored 6 points, I think.
No, it was 10 points.
10 points. Apologies.
Yeah. I mean, look at those per 36, Mike. I mean, that's a hell of a game per 36.
The key is he looks springy.
He looks springy.
He is the pizza dough that if you stick your finger in it, it springs right back. Where last year it was the bad dough that didn't have enough yeast in it. You know what I'm saying? I know you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, there's like a kind of crude physical eye test that we're kind of looking for. Is like, does it look right? Is it flowy? Is it vibey? Definitely more so than last year. I think there's still a little bit of room for growth. I'm still optimistic that, I mean, if that's knocking off the rust, think about where the rest of the season. I mean, think about how good he could be mid-season, Mike.
Could Ben Simmons be the best player in the NBA right now?
Yeah. But other than that, like in terms of the team composition, it's going to be a weird season, Mike. That was my other takeaway from this game. I don't want to bury the lead on Cam Thomas, but I'm going to dovetail it neatly together here. I think there's a way for me to talk about this.
Wait, are you going to do a negative Cam Thomas take?
No, this is a compliment. This is a
starred.
Mike, I'm doing a compliment sandwich. It's Ben, and then I'm going to talk about something not good, and then it's going to be Cam. Okay. And those are two compliments on the end of this critical thing in the middle, which is that we ran out a lineup of DFS, DSJ, Royce O'Neal, somebody else.
Who's DSJ?
That's Dennis Smith Jr. I like to put them together just because of all the letters. Yeah. And Nick Claxton, and it was it's lockdown defense, and as advertised, lockdown defense, but also lockdown offense for the other team. And there is I mean, that's never going to be. We don't have the playmaking right now to make that make sense. That's difficult, but I think that's like an interesting strategy to Mike. You've played Magic the Gathering at times in your life, right?
No, but I just watched the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Jesus.
That was really good. It was really good. It was a movie. It was good.
No, it's just that response to what. Anyways, it's fine.
Why that I compared Dungeons and Dragons to Magic? It's just like apocryphal to the.
No. It's just
to the cool guys who play Magic.
You just went in such a normie direction, which is fine. It's why I love you, but it is.
Magic is the most normie of all of the fantasy element arts.
I could go. I mean, I could spend an hour podcast just on that statement alone.
Most.
Let's not. Anyways, what I'm trying to get to is there is such a thing called playing
games.
like a control style, which is that like basically all you're trying to do is shut down what the other player is trying to do. That's the only strategy.
Control your sex life because you're not getting any if you're playing the control style on Magic the Gathering.
Definitely.
Is that a good character?
That is. What is it? That was a character for you? Is what you're saying?
Wait, explain to me the control style.
Okay, the control style is basically you're countering spells, you're tapping things down.
Very interested.
You're trying to jam up their econ, and whatever you're trying to do, you're trying to keep them from doing what they're trying to do, right? But at the end of the strategy, you're supposed to have what's called a bomb, right? This is your winning condition. This is a 7 mana or up, big thing that you can sneak into play somehow, some way after you've shut down everything that the other team. In this case, the player you're playing against in Magic the Gathering, the Alpha Chad you're playing against, the team. Anyway, sorry, I've got lost. But what we need to do as a team is we need to figure out if we have a bomb in Cam Thomas. Do we have a win condition offensively? Can we rely on Cam Thomas to be a huge, near 30 points per game offensive win condition, like that we can insert alongside our formidable control defense?
That was so good. I've never played Magic, but again, I understood it completely.
Yeah.
And I love the comparison of Cam Thomas being a win condition.
that's the win condition.
Is he? So we're talking about Magic the Gathering. I'm going to allude to another sort of like a fantasy trope, crow. I'm going to have to eat some crow. I got to eat a plate of crow today, Bri. I'm trying.
Okay,
there's a lot of crows in Game of Thrones. I think a lot of people understood that.
Okay, yeah.
Understood it.
No, I'm here for it.
I was leading the bandwagon for Cam Thomas is not good.
Wow, you're gonna go preseason game 1. You are
so good. He was amazing. He was so fun
that
to
is
watch.
The flip. I mean, credit to you. I respect that amount of flip flopping is tremendous, impressive.
Let me ask you this: do you think I wanted him to do well off of how much I've talked negatively about Cam Thomas?
Well, can we actually just get into the nuts and bolts? Because I mean, nuts
and bolts it.
I actually like the flip flop. In the face of new evidence, I think it is a noble thing to do to update your thinking. We should think of that.
That's what makes this podcast different, is that we will flip flop endlessly.
That's right.
And the biggest flip flop was we wanted D'Angelo Russell and not Kyrie.
That was only you.
Kyrie.
That was only you. I mean, let's be honest.
What?
Directly under the bus. No, I actually don't remember. It's possible that we may have manufactured tension that even.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I then immediately flip flopped and said Kyrie's the greatest basketball player of all time.
The evidence, the new evidence for Cam Thomas, Mike, is there was two in the first quarter, 2 instances where he made excellent, timely passes that resulted in buckets. And that is, I don't think I can remember 2 passes in the last 2 years of Cam Thomas that like belied some kind of even the thought process that would lead to a deft pass. We saw this in the second half, his shootout with Austin Reeves, and that's fun. We love that. Right? We're humans. We are red-blooded Americans.
I think I retweeted it, but it was like Austin Reeves and Cam Thomas, baller v baller, and it's like, all right, let's slow down on each of these figures. I don't know if we're gonna be. It's not like we're gonna be remembering it like Shohei Ohtani versus Mike Trout in the baseball whatever. But even as I say it, I don't remember what the basam.
I don't even know what you're talking about. So
exactly. So big. But yes.
Yeah.
I am trying not to get above my skis. I hate to do that. Opera ski all day. But
you mean ahead of your skis, not above. You want to be above your skis. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That the passes is what made the difference, because I think the Cam Thomas believers, the 4 Cams, they would say, oh, he gets all these points and all these minutes, and then he still has assists. And he does sometimes get assists. His assists are usually a byproduct of him jumping out of bounds because he has nowhere else to go, which was also the Nets offense for a while in that preseason game. Remember how the game started and it was either Mikal Bridges or Dinwiddie or someone else jumping out of bounds underneath the basket and throwing it wildly?
That happened a lot. That happened too often.
Not to ruin the Cam Thomas thing, but like... I think we should get to at some point, like maybe little concerns. But Cam, what I saw was someone who's fitting into an offense. And it is a huge deal that Jacques Vaughn gave Cam Thomas the start. He did not have to do that. Obviously, Cam Johnson was hurt. Mm-hmm. That's why he wasn't playing. But Jacques Vaughn chose to give Cam Thomas the start. He talked about how Cam Thomas has been making a progression and playing more team basketball and doing things on both ends of the floor that we need to see. Listen, the Nets did not look great last night, okay? But if you wanted to see two things from this team, it was a sprightly and springy Ben Simmons, we saw that, and a more team-minded Cam Thomas, and we saw that.
Can I also say the third thing that we saw was Jacques Vaughn pulling Cam Thomas due to his years-long hate boner for shootouts of the Cam Thomas ilk. and so that tradition still is intact. So we'll keep him in check no matter what, Mike. We're going to keep that ego super in check.
Just based on last night, Brian, is Cam Thomas, like, how much of a part of the Nets rotation do you think he will be? Just based on last night. I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm going to let you flip flop.
Here's the thing: everything changes the first night. His effective field goal percentage starts to really like come back down to earth. Like when that happens, and it happens like
when he doesn't shoot 54% from three, 75% from the field or whatever it was.
Pretty upsetting boomerang. And then you start to be like, I don't know, should he be taking all those shots? Is this really working? And it can cast a little doubt on that strategy. I'm not. Look, Mike. Again, we're Nets fans. We're rooting for Cam Thomas. We would like it for him to be. He's going to turn 22 years old this week, Mike. He's just a young man, and he's figuring it out. And if he can combine, like if his shot is not falling, and then he can keep his eye on the prize and start thinking about playmaking in lieu of scoring in those moments, he will be part of that rotation, Mike. He's going to be there.
And this goes back to something you were saying on the live stream. And again, people should check it out if they can. And you said it a little bit here before. The concern for this team, which has not been a concern for a very long time, is a consistent outside shooting presence. Cam Johnson can be that. Bridges showed in FIBA that he can be that too, though he's going to be the primary scoring option. Dinwiddie's hot and cold. DFS is hot and cold. Royce O'Neal's hot and cold. I mean, some of those guys are just cold. There's no hotness to it. It's just a chilly winter. So I am interested to see, there's a lot of discussion about what the team should do with its resources. And I'm not calling for them to trade like 2 first-round picks for Buddy Hield, though I do wonder if there's a reallocation of sending out Royce O'Neal and maybe 1 pick to get a guy like Buddy Hield, to get a proven shooter. Because part of why Cam Thomas started, which is what Jacques Vaughn said, was because when you have Ben Simmons out there, you need shooting. Mm-hmm. And Dinwiddie's like an average shooter. Again, we went down the list.
Claxton's although his fadeaway three was pretty swaggy last night. The drifting three.
Well, we know where that's going to go.
Come on. Right to the top, baby. I know where it's going.
So I would this team, the biggest weakness is going to be spacing, particularly if Ben and Claxton are going to be playing a bunch of minutes. And the other guys around them can be very good shooters, but they're not Joe Harris, right? So I think this team is going to have very big problems throughout this year, but Cam Thomas could be a solve for that. Not only is he an amazing bucket getter, but we've been advocating this from the moment we saw him in Summer League, the first Summer League. He could be a very good spot-up shooter if he allowed himself to be in that role. And there was shades of that last night. I'm interested to see that continue to grow.
Can I draw a maybe uncomfortable parallel for some people as well? It's uncomfortable for me to think about.
Sure.
We get on Cam Thomas's case readily every week on this podcast, Mike, when he's not doing the things that we want him to do. And yet we let Mikal Bridges slide. We love Mikal Bridges. He's our guy. And I'd like to, not to, it's preseason game 1, whatever, who cares, obviously. But like, I'd like to also challenge Mikal Bridges into playmaking. We need playmaking, and we get to round everyone's like 2 assists up to 3.5 across the board. Not one person's going to be able to just be like, I am Chris Paul. That's not going to happen right now. But we need improvements across the board, and that is one person who, when the shot's not falling like it wasn't last night, what can we get from Mikal Bridges on offense in that kind of game? Last night, that we did not get anything. It was not much. It was a problem.
Yeah, as much as I love Mikal Bridges, like he's going to be in a role where like he should obviously be creating on his own. This team is going to be struggling for creation, and
we went from all creation, just the land of creation. To it is going to be a real boomerang effect on creation and watching
Like
basketball.
to go from a world where it was Harden, Kyrie, KD to truly and honestly, Spencer Dinwiddie's the best creator on this team, and I love Spencer. We all know, big fan of Spencer, but like, it shouldn't all be on him. That's why this Ben Simmons thing could be interesting. It will be a progression, and we'll see it go up a tier or two, and hopefully, and all he needs to be is what he was last night: confident, attacking. He took a bunch of free throws, looked pretty good. Not a bunch, took some. Did you see the pregame video of him where he like drove to the bucket, then did a step back three? Did you see that?
I
He hit it.
I did watch some of this. Yeah.
What the hell is going on? He is so outlandish and so incredible in these videos from shooting from three. I just truly don't understand what's going on. Like, I need to see that in the game just once, and I'm going to lose my mind. Here's a quick from Brian Lewis of the New York Post. Mikal Bridges finished second in the annual NBA GM survey, voting for the best perimeter defender and for best player moving without the ball.
Wow.
What does that tell you, Brian?
These are very specific accolades.
What a boring survey. It was like best with moving out the ball. Anything else? I mean, it's game one. We're gonna do a big season preview thing at some point.
Yeah,
but
let's not go crazy and burn ourselves out in the first preseason game of the year, Mike. Let's not go crazy.
I'm feeling bullish.
Are you? It was 37.5 wins. Vegas had it. Are you under or over right now? Like, are you under or over? I like to have a spicy take at the end of the show.
Well, I guess I'm under still, but
after all that, does Ben Simmons resurgence mean nothing to you, Mike?
Well, actually, the Ben Simmons resurgence honestly does make me feel like that they should push to make a move that brings in like a real shooter who can play.
Do you think the name of our band should be, of our experimental electronic music band, should be Ben Simmons Resurgence? The Ben Simmons Resurgence?
I think that's going to have legs.
Wait, you said you think they're going to make a trade if he's actually good to, like, they're going to be buying?
Yeah, because I think they, even with Cam Johnson and Bridges and Claxton, I mean, Claxton doesn't really count in this equation, and Dinwiddie, I would like a really good knockdown shooter next to Cam Johnson to have always two really good shooters with Ben Simmons. Like last year when they had Seth Curry and Patty Mills and Joe Harris, and like eventually they just stopped playing their shooters because they had so many. Like this year they could use Patty Mills or Joe Harris or
well, I asked this to the Dirty Stream, and I'll ask this of you now, Mike. If you could add an archetype, I'm not saying a specific player necessarily, just a kind of player to this team, one archetype that would vastly improve our potential wins situation, our win condition even, what would that player be? I'll tell you what the stream said.
Tell me.
The stream said classic point guard. Stream said they wanted a John Stockton, Chris Paul style, which, by the way, you've talked about Chris before he went to Golden State. You talked a lot about a Chris Paul trade at one point.
Also, Russell Westbrook would have loved to have signed him.
Classic, dyed-in-the-wool point guard
that we could get. James Harden.
I really wonder what the asking price for James Harden is going to be right now. I saw some reporting and it seemed like a smokescreen, but I kind of make sense that just the market isn't quite there for James Harden the way it used to be. They're having a difficult time getting fair value at the moment, Mike.
I don't think we talked about this. This will be a good capper to the episode. But I was listening to Bill Simmons's episode with Big Waz, Wozni Lambre, who I used to work with, Big Waz. And Waz is like one of those people that knows people, right? He's not a reporter, but he knows people.
Okay.
And he said that when James was in Brooklyn, and we all remember that James was planning on taking the extension and then didn't, and that was a little scary, and that was the first crack in the armor of his hopefully Hall of Fame career with the Brooklyn Nets. Waz said that in fact, that Harden was told by Morey not to take the extension because we'll get you here. We'll trade for you. We'll be able to get you eventually here in Philly if you push for it, and then we'll give you the extension, which has led to this discord between Morey and Harden. Like, that was one step into James's expectations that he would eventually have this max deal, even though that Brooklyn offered it to him. And Morey was telling him, we're going to get you here. So don't take the extension with Brooklyn. Let me ask you this. Seriously. Let's just say it takes 2 Suns picks. Okay. And
yes, easy. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I've already disavowed to the extent that I think I need to, but at the right price, 100%, it'd be super fun. And I mean,
Would
also
you send Ben Simmons back?
a big fu to. No, I wouldn't send anything of value back like that. I mean, like if it's a package of like DFS plus picks or whatever, or like some
well, it'd be like DFS Dinwiddie. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes.
Yeah, wouldn't it be fun? It'd be fun to be like, screw this like young rebuild. We're just gonna go back and get James Harden, one of the most,
It'd be dumb. It'd be really dumb, but it'd be super fun. And I couldn't say no. I'm sorry, I couldn't do it.
I also saw a report. This is really what we should end with. Brian Lewis, I think, tweeted this out or reported this, that KD would have stayed in Brooklyn had Ben Simmons been healthy. That he wanted to stay in Brooklyn.
I know.
But when he looked
headline.
at it, obviously at the time when he requested his trade, Kyrie had done what he had done. Harden was already gone, and Ben Simmons was just a shell of himself. And there's no way to know what he would be. How does that make you feel as a Nets fan?
It doesn't. I feel nothing about that. That feels. I've already processed those feelings, and that feels like it should. I hope. I feels like that should be close to the last headline about like what could have been with that era of Nets basketball, right? I mean, like we gotta move on. Even though we just talked about how we would trade for James Harden.
Well, maybe we can bring it all back. I mean, emotionally, it was like. I had shed that skin. I am a snake, and my skin.
You are a snake, Mike.
Thanks, Kevin. Speaking of snakes, Kevin Durant, Kyrie. Like the as if game around that whole period. I'm just kind of done. Like, what if Kyrie didn't get kneecapped by Giannis? What if KD's foot was behind the line? What if James Harden didn't have the most devastating hamstring injury in the history of hamstring injuries, right? Like that whole era now is just like, hey, didn't really work. Hey, that's it. We're done. And now we're on to the Ben Simmons, Cam Thomas
era. Let it begin.
Okay. Thank you all for listening. This was the Brooklyn Nets podcast named The Glue Guys. And I'm sorry, I'm just like reading a bunch of stuff on Twitter, which isn't helpful when you're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Find us on X at BK Glue Guys.
Really find us on Discord, discord.gg/glue guys. It's time. It's time.
Got it.
And then also we stream the games on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheBrianEgan is where we watch games together. It's super fun. You should be there. Go be there. Mike, you should go be there too.
Yep.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.